Cheers, guys. It's time for happy hour.
Gonna put the world away for a minute. Pretend I don't live in it. Sunshine gonna wash my blues away. Had sweet love, but I lost it. She got too close so far, and now I'm lost in the world trying to find me a better way. Wishing I was
Knee deep in the water somewhere.
got the blue sky breeze and it don't seem fair on the worry.
Guys, it is time for happy hour. Y'all, it's Tuesday, June 30th, and we are finished with it. You know what that means? We have officially made it halfway through 2020. As of right now, we are halfway through 2020. Crazy, right? Let's hope the second half is much better and less crazy and less, worldwide pandemics than the first half was. But it's time to cheers the end of the day, the end of the first half of the year. So cheers to all of you out there. You know the drill. Drop in the comments. Let us know where you are and what you're drinking.
The ocean is my only medication. Wishing my condition ain't ever.
All right, guys. Catherine, what is up in high? Having water for now. Feel that? Rick's got his Artist Blend 17. I love it. Rick, remind me where you're located. Alta in Frisco, drinking rosé. Veronica with some lavender tea. Man, there's all kinds of good stuff in here. Yes, I do agree. This is the perfect summer drinking song. Y'all, this week really turns into like boat and lake playlist, which is basically like fun country music like this, nonstop. I'll sprinkle a little pop and R&B and hip hop, but like I'm pretty much 100% country this week, all the way through the weekend. It's just that time of year, that place. All right, guys, we got a first timer. Let's everybody say what's up to Christian. He's joining us on YouTube out in Stonewall, having some Mourvedre Carignan Rosé. Christian, thanks for joining us. Welcome to your first William Chris Happy Hour, and hopefully it'll be the first of many for you. Always great to see first timers. What is up, Brian? About to get some rosé on. Paul, what is up? Long time no see indeed. Having a little cab. I love it. Hope you and your wife are doing well. Are you guys back in Texas? Are y'all still down there in Florida? I mean, like, what's going on in your world? Lindsay Hall is here. I love it. Terry is here, sipping a Texas rosé on the beach. Terry, what beach are you on? I am so jealous right now. Oh, indeed. Cheers to happy hour and halfway. Guys, this is another first timer. Check this out. I am loving Tuesday. We got some more. Everybody say hi to Edith in Corpus Christi. Edith, welcome to William Chris Happy Hour. We're so glad you're joining us. And perfect timing as the song is ending. Y'all, we got a good crew in here today. I am stoked. We got people, Sam in San Antonio having 18 Artist Blend. Man, Dottie's having Artist Blend also up in Lubbock. Alan in Sugarland having an ice cold Miller Lite. Anthony's having a Coors Light because the mountains are blue. Y'all, I'm loving it. We're going to have a great time today. It is the 4th of July week. And before I jump into all things crazy wine nerdery, speaking of the 4th of July, speaking of declaring independence from another country, it is my pleasure to introduce to everybody. And let me take this little thing down so we can see her beautiful face. Everybody say hi to our resident Brit, Mary. Hi, Mary.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
American now.
Well, hey, I love it. I also will always love your accent. And I know that we're going to be talking about Madeira today, and that's actually a part of like your background and growing up. Like Madeira was a thing that your family drank. And but before we do all that, where are you and what are you drinking?
I'm in Canyon Lake, and I'm drinking our Eurasian Hills, William Chris Eurasian Hills Rosé. I love that Tannat and Mourvedre blend.
I love it. Well, cheers to you, friend. Happy hour.
Thank you.
Well, Mary, for all those who don't know Mary, she is an incredible tasting room ambassador of ours, and is very stoked as we're going to be rolling out private virtual tastings, and we'll be able to bring that amazing British accent into your living room via our private virtual tastings. But Mary, I'm going to see you in just a little bit for the Wine Nerd segment. So thanks for joining us. We'll see you in a bit.
It's good. Great.
Awesome, guys. Let's say hi to a few more folks before we jump into what wine I am drinking. I am not drinking Madeira today, and I am not drinking William Chris's Madeira, which we call Cibola, right? Our Madeira style wine. So I have a bottle of it here. It is not open. I am drinking 17 Artist Blend. But guys, let me say hi to a few more folks. Mercedes, what is up? Good to see you. I have Michelob Ultra. Woo! You are on a remote beach state park in Florida. Okay, Terry, get it. I like it. Carrie, about to have some pet nap. Watch out. You have your glass ready. Keep it upright. Don't shake it. Get it really cold. You guys know all the tips and tricks. The 2019 vintage is very, very wild. And it's, in my opinion, incredible. I brought a whole case of it home last week. So get you some of that pet nap if you don't. Sydney's here too, drinking some Method Champenois. I like it. Having some bubbles. Eric and Alan having a 16 La Pradera Carignan. Man, that's some good wine and just beverages in general being consumed. So thank you guys for joining. Let's jump into what I'm drinking. Check out this beautiful label, guys. Shout out to Brad Settles, who's the artist behind this beautiful piece. All of our longtime fans know that we open up the Artist Blend competition every year for artists to submit artwork to become the label. Brad Settles was our winner. And this is titled Finch, and it's done on Linnacut. Beautiful artwork. This is William Chris's version of a GSM, but we like to do a William Chris Texas version that has a little bit of tea in it. So it's got 50% Mourvedre, 25 Syrah, 19 Grenache, and 6% Tannat in it. Beautiful, amazing. That Tannat helps kind of round out the palate, give it a little more body. Let's all take a drink. Happy, happy hour. Happy end of the first half of the year. Here's to an incredible second half of the year, guys. Cheers. All right, guys. I love this wine, and it's just getting better with age. It's still got good acidity and tartness on the front, but instead of just red fruit, I feel like a lot of times you've heard me talk about all these red wines having all these tart red fruit notes like cherry and raspberry. This one for me also brings in some of those black fruits. Like I start to get some blackberry here, potentially even some plum. We did use a little bit of new oak on this wine. It had about 20% new oak. And so you do get that nice little, that baking spice note on it as well. And for me on the nose, there's this like pretty awesome, like dried green herb thing going on. So think like in the thyme kind of world, maybe kind of like rosemary, but like dried green herb note. So with food, where I'm going to head here is like a garlic rosemary chicken on the grill, because it's July 4th week, right, guys? I'm trying to drink wines and share wines with you that I think you should be drinking this weekend to celebrate July 4th. You're going to be grilling, you're going to be outside. A GSM blend with a little bit of Tannat, I like our Artist Blend, is perfect for the grill. Those spice notes from the oak integrate really well with the kind of charcoaly, not burned, but like crispiness that you get on the grill. And specifically with chicken here, I'm going to let you know, like, get the dried green herb thing going, rub it on your chicken while you're grilling it. It's going to be really nice. Second, I would recommend, if you want to go beef, I go ribeye. And here's the kicker: make a mushroom cream sauce to drizzle on top. And that mushroom cream sauce is going to be nice. The acid in this wine will help cut through the creaminess. And the fruit is gonna jump out because you get all that savory with the meat and the mushroom, and it's all umami. And this has such great fruit that you want to lift that fruit up and highlight it. And so the contrast there is going to make this wine really sing. So get you some. I see your question, Mercedes. I'm gonna come back to that. Actually, no, let's just answer it right now. She's asking about carnitas, guys. Having carnitas. I would go with honestly a Mourvedre if you have one. I think carnitas, it's so savory. Carnitas is actually one of my favorite meats, favorite kind of tacos to have. I'm going full out Mourvedre there. If you've got maybe the Lost Jar Mourvedre we had yesterday, potentially the Bingham Mourvedre or the Texas High Plains Mourvedre would go really good with that one. I mean, we make like 7 to 8 different Mourvedres per year. I would go total Mourvedre there. Yodi, is that an Aggie ring on your finger? Indeed it is, guys. Class of 2006 right here. Gig 'em, whoop. You know that Chris is also class of 2006. Leah, who is our marketing director, is also class of 2000. Guys, like we are taking over at William Chris. Much love to Bill and Tony, who are Texas Tech grads. We appreciate the Red Raiders out there. But forget all those LSU fans. I don't know who they are. They got no place around here. That's for you, Dirk, if you're out there. I also know that Ann is out there, and I think Ann has quite an affinity for those LSU Tigers. Boo. Oh, and Catherine, of course. Catherine's an Aggie. Catherine, I can't remember what class you are. You got to let us know in the comments. Guys, let's move on to Wine Nerd. We're getting too caught up in college football, and it is a long ways away still. I'm ready for some wine. So let's all cheers. Pour a little more in all of our glasses. Today, because it's the 4th of July week, I am theming, again, my Wine Nerd section to be related to us signing the Declaration of Independence. So, and we're going to learn about this today, but this wine has some very specific importance and connection to the Declaration of Independence, the signing of the Declaration of Independence. So today we're going to be talking about Madeira. Okay. And as I'm talking and sharing about the 3 main things I want you to learn about it, post your comments in there, post your questions in the comments. I'll get to them. Mary's also going to be helping out with some awesome questions throughout as well. We're ready to nerd out. I want you guys to be able to tell all your friends at the grill out, all your family at the grill out, socially distanced grill out, right? Like that you know all about Madeira, you know its significance for the Declaration of Independence, and let's get in it, okay? You guys know that I love maps, so we're gonna start there. The number one thing you need to know about Madeira, maybe not number one thing, but the first thing you should know is Madeira is an island that belongs to Portugal, all right? Island that belongs to Portugal. Let's see if I can get that in there. Bop, ba, da, bop. Okay, and I'm going to share my screen here. So Madeira is an island that belongs to Portugal, but is closer to the coast of North Africa, where this style of wine originated. All right, this is thing number one you need to know about Madeira. Y'all see Portugal up there in orange, and then on kind of the left towards the middle of the picture there's a couple of islands, one of which is Madeira. Okay, it is actually physically closer to Morocco. All right, now, incredible place if you ever get to go. Looks like Bill was able to make it there. I absolutely loved. I got to go for New Year's for the 2018-2019 kind of switch over, right? So it was New Year's Eve 2018, welcoming in 2019. And if you ever get to go, they have the Guinness Book of World Records largest fireworks display for New Year's. And you're in the capital city of Funchal, and you are surrounded. You know how most big cities, they have like one central fireworks display, and everybody goes and looks at that one place, and they set off fireworks from the one place, and everybody's oohing and on. Not in Funchal, Madeira. They do that same size, big time fireworks display in a full circle surrounding the city. So it's on the downslope of a volcano, an old volcano, and it hits the water. And so you had a barge, I think maybe 2 barges out in the water shooting off fireworks, and then all the way in a circle, all the way around you, up the slope of the volcano, around the east of the city and the west of the city. And there's a 360-degree fireworks display at midnight, and it was unbelievable. So if you ever get the chance to go, please do. It's a really quick plane from either Porto or Lisbon, Portugal. It's not super expensive to get there, and it is incredible. The people are super nice. The weather's incredible. But back to wine and why this matters for y'all, okay? The volcanic island here was the last spot to fuel up if people were traveling on boats from Europe over to the Americas, right? This was really big and important in the time, the age of exploration, and when colonies were going on, when they were colonizing North America. This was a really important stop for the boats from Europe on their way to America. And so when they would fuel up on this island and get their supplies, they would get these barrels of wine, and they would add alcohol to them. They would add spirits to them, because otherwise the wine would spoil on the deck of the ship during that long voyage across the sea. So in order to keep it from spoiling, they added alcohol, and those barrels would get tossed around at sea across that long voyage. It would get heated in the sun. It would cool off at night. It would get heated in the sun again and cool off at night. And it would get exposed to all those elements, those big waves, the salty air from the ocean, and it would affect the main product. So this wasn't purposefully done originally, but some of those barrels made the trip to the Americas and made it all the way back to Europe. And they started tasting them and they were like, oh, wow, like this is special. Something cool happened inside these barrels on the decks of these ships that we need to figure out how we can do that on purpose. And so the second thing I want you to know is that Madeira became a style of wine that is purposely, so first of all, it's fortified. You need to know that. That's the category of wine that it's in. So Madeira is a fortified wine that is purposefully heated or Madeirized and exposed to oxygen. All right. So you're basically doing two things that you're not supposed to do to typical wine during the winemaking process. So because it's fortified, that means they add neutral spirit to it. It's guys, 190 proof spirit. Imagine that, right? Like we're all usually talking about 88 proof and 100 proof and 120 proof. The spirit they add to this grape juice while it's fermenting is 190 proof. So I got a helicopter going over me. I hope that's not keeping you from hearing me. That addition of neutral spirit halts fermentation. It kills the yeast. It stops the fermenting. And so what you're left with is leftover residual sugar. And so all styles of Madeira are fortified with neutral spirit, so the alcohol levels are higher, and they have some amount of residual sugar in them. And depending on the style of Madeira that you get will determine the sweetness level. There are four main noble grapes that they use. So Madeira itself is not a grape. It's an island. It's a style of wine. Okay. It is not a grape. There are many grapes that can go into Madeira, but the four noble ones are Cercial, Verdelho, okay, Bual, and Malmsey, which also can be known as Malvasia. All right. There is a less noble variety called Tinta Negra, and that usually went in traditionally into the bulk production of Madeira, into the lower quality ones. And so for me, anytime you see like Tinta Negra, the thought when I first learned about Madeira was like, that's going to be lower quality. However, they've started to, with new technology, make really high quality versions. And it's so widely planted and grows so well on the island that they've started to make higher quality versions with Tinta Negra. But as you go up, Cercial to Verdelho to Boal to Malmsey, you're getting sweeter and sweeter. Usually, right? Usually you're getting sweeter and sweeter. That's kind of the general rule. However, the interesting thing, and I'm going to show you this picture. So I got to share you a different picture. So let me share my screen again. I want you to see the vineyard. So this is a volcanic island, guys. And so in order for you to grow grapes, these vineyards are on these incredible slope, these terraced vineyards that are the sides of old volcanoes leading straight down to the water, and you can imagine are incredibly hard to take care of. So this also helps them maintain acidity because the water keeps a cooling effect instead of them being grown in the valleys in the central part of the island. They also pick earlier to maintain that acid. So if you're going to have all that sweetness, all that residual sugar left over, you want acid to balance it out. So the one thing that is unique to dessert wine of Madeira is that it has very, very, very high acid, both because it's the varieties they use, it's picked early, and the vineyards are right there along the water where the water keeps temperatures cooler. All right, I'm going to bring Mary in. I know Mary has probably got like 18 questions that are amazing to ask me. So Mary, welcome back. Talk to me. We've only gone over 2 of the 3 things. Any questions so far about Madeira?
No, the only part you left out was I always talk about the, the sailing ships that get blown off course and languish in the doldrums as they approach the equator. Maybe I'm going a little too far.
No, I love it. It's very much about the romanticism of the story of the origination of Madeira. And I love that you're including that. And the most prized Madeiras back in the day were the ones that crossed the equator back and forth. And they had their own special name. And I can't off the top of my head think of that particular name, but there was a special name for the Madeiras that crossed the equator. So very much a part of that entire story. I'm going to hop in here. I think that there is a couple of good questions, Mary. Thank you for that. Let's see. Bill is asking, what's the oven called that they put Madeira in? Bill's getting a little bit ahead of me, so let's just talk about that now. So you can do basically two main ways to heat Madeira, okay? Because I talked about it, it's getting heated and it's being exposed to oxygen. So they don't anymore put these big barrels of wine on ships and send them across the ocean. They're like, how do we replicate that effect and be able to produce a lot of it? And so what they've come up with is a way to heat and expose to oxygen, but specifically that salty breeze, right? So the first type, which Bill's talking about here, this oven, is called an estufa. Okay, an estufa, and it's a big tank that they have coils in the middle of, and they basically bake the wine. They maderize the wine on purpose again, right? So they're going to heat it up a lot. What that does is in the glass, it creates these like baked fruit notes, these nutty notes, these notes of like orange peel, walnut, raisin, dried apricots. They're incredible. Now, some of those flavors are going to be a little bit different depending on which one of the grapes are being used or the blend of a couple of grapes being used. The estufas are usually used for the lower end and medium end Madeiras. So if you want high quality Madeira, they don't use the oven version. They're a little more old school, and they use what's called a cantero. And I'm gonna show you a picture of this. So let me share another tab with you. The cantero, and I believe that this is what I'm going to make sure I get the right picture. Yep, there it is. The cantero is these houses, these open air houses, where they put the Madeira in these oversized wooden barrels, usually American oak. A lot of folks always ask, where does it come from? This is actually usually American oak. These big oversized barrels, and they put them in open air canteros, these houses where the hot Madeira weather can come in, heat them up during the day, and then at night it kind of cools off a little bit and then heats it up. So they start out in their youth in the attic, and then over time that Madeira will slowly, depending on how long they age, it will slowly get moved down one floor at a time. So they're usually about 4 stories high, and the oldest Madeira sits on the lowest level, and the youngest Madeira sits on the highest level, so it gets more heat. And this is how the most high quality of all of the Madeiras gets produced. So it's the estufa is the heated tank versus the cantero, which is the houses that they put these giant barrels in and heat. Now, most of the time when you age wine in barrels, there's going to be some evaporation of alcohol, and then it gets topped up because you don't want oxygen interacting with your wine because it'll spoil it. Not the case in Madeira. They purposely expose to extra oxygen by leaving that gap in the top of the barrel. So they're not going to be aggressively topping up. So basically, they've done everything that you can possibly do, right? Everything that you could possibly do to make a wine go bad, to beat it up. And these wines, therefore, because they've already been introduced to heat, they've already been introduced to oxygen, they actually hold up for a very, very long time. This wine will last forever. You can open a bottle of Madeira. I actually just had some before this started because I only have like maybe a third of a Cercial left. And I was like, man, I haven't had this in a while. It was in the back of my fridge. Had a tiny little bit left. I opened that like 6 months ago, y'all, and it still tastes just as good as it did when I first opened the bottle. You met that 6 months ago. That's because it's fortified, and that's because it's already been exposed to everything that can make it go bad. So it's really great. You don't have to drink it all. Also, you're not supposed to drink the same amount, right? It's supposed to be a 3-ounce pour instead of like a 5 or 6 ounce pour for typical wine because it's fortified. So those bottles that you're going to buy are going to keep for a very long time. Cool. Love it. There's one more thing you need to know, and it's why we picked this out for today. The third thing is Madeira was really popular in the time of early America, in the time of the colonies, and therefore Happy July 4th, everybody. Madeira was the wine served to celebrate at the signing of the Declaration of Independence. Okay, this is the number one thing to remember for this weekend. You got to tell all your friends, like party trivia of the day. Also, Benjamin Franklin, who was there for the signing, right, believed in science so much that he thought one day science was going to progress to the point where people could be brought back from the dead. He thought science was going to bring people back from the dead at some point. And so he actually requested that his body be embalmed in Madeira wine. Benjamin Franklin requested that his body be embalmed in Madeira wine. Can you believe that? So there's a trivia thing you probably didn't know. I actually learned it about 2 weeks ago when I was following a webinar about dessert wines of the world, and some master somms were talking about this. He didn't actually succeed. They didn't actually embalm him in Madeira, but it was his wish. And so not only was it used to cheers at the signing of the Declaration of Independence, Benjamin Franklin loved it so much he wanted to basically be buried in it. So I know you guys typically, okay, this is a good question here. Do they add the spirits before they bake the wine? Yes. They're going to halt fermentation and bake it after fermentation has been halted. I love that. Here's a little good Spanish speakers out there. Estufa means stove in Spanish. Makes a lot of sense if that's what they're calling in Portuguese, right? Because Madeira is owned by Portugal. A lot of crossover in the Latin languages. So estufa is it makes sense. That's how they're heating it. I love that. Good to know. I didn't know that. Also, Anne wants to know who wrote the Declaration of Independence, and I'm sure some folks will out here help it. Sam's asking, is this supposed to be drunk with food or is it an aperitif? Great question. I'm glad we're going here. While I'm answering this question, I'm going to put your quiz question of the day in the chat. Let's see if you can get it right. To answer your question, what do I want to be embalmed in? If it's a dessert wine, probably Tokai. I think Royal Tokai. Maybe actually Royal Tokai Azencia. Go look that up. We're not going to be able to cover that today, but Azencia is served by the spoon because it's so rich and intense and high in sugar. I'm in for that. Y'all have a quiz question in the comments, so make sure you get to that. I'm gonna talk about this food question that Sam asked. So food with Madeira because it's high acidity, especially Cercial and Verdelho versions, are phenomenal food wines. Okay. Yes, you can have them as aperitifs. You can have them with cheese. You can have them with seafood, but they go great. The richness and the complexity of flavor, the oxidized notes, a little bit of sugar, because it's balanced with the acid. It doesn't come across as dessert. Usually, Cercial wines don't taste sweet, right? They taste a little bit heavier in your mouth. There's a thicker body, but they don't taste sweet because the acid is so high, and they're great with food. So by all means, Sam, please enjoy Cercial and Verdelho Madeiras with food. Now, once you start to get into the Buals and the Malmseys of the world, we're really talking about dessert, okay? And the residual sugar is so high that you can have it with food, but you're gonna really need to think about what you're pairing it with. So it takes a little extra thinking. All right, guys, let's talk about the quiz question. Who's getting it right? Yes, we are indeed back to it being D. I don't know if y'all noticed, but I put E before D so that I could say all of the above. Otherwise, the right answer would have been E, and that's not fun for anybody. So Madeira is all of these things, guys. It's an island owned by Portugal. It's a style of fortified wine. It was the wine served at the signing of the Declaration of Independence. You've learned a lot about Madeira today. You guys normally ask me, like, what Madeiras can I get? What should I buy? So let me give you two recommendations. There's a lot of Madeira out there, but there's also a lot of really crappy Madeira. So let me just warn you. However, if you will focus on these folks that I put in the comments here, Blandies and Enriquish and Enriquish. Okay, Enriquish and Enriquish is my personal favorite, or H&H for short. They're incredible. Blandies has been doing it for a very long time. They're owned by Chris Blandy. He's an American. He actually went to SMU in Texas, and he owns and runs that company. They were very nice to host me for a tasting. I got to taste some like 1930s Madeira when I was there. So this stuff ages, guys. They have Madeira from the 1800s that still tastes good. So like this stuff is literally like bulletproof. You can age it forever and ever. And if you're lucky enough, that stuff's pretty expensive now, so it's really hard to get a hold and it's rare because folks realize that it still tastes good. But Blandy's is wonderful. H&H is like super, super high quality. They've been doing it for a very long time. They've always been like family owned. So I highly recommend. Both of these producers are available in Texas. So go find them. Love, love, love. Chris is asking, what makes crappy Madeira? It's just not, it's very obviously mass produced, okay? And it feels flat. It's not complex. It's like one noted. You'll know it if you try it. If you get a bottle of Madeira that's like $18, it's not good. It's just going to be crappy. Now, you could probably find a food pairing that would like brighten it up and make it better, but like 15, 18 bucks, it's too cheap. It's too mass produced. It's going to be low quality. Don't do it. Look for the ones that have the grape name on the bottle or a minimum of 5 years written on the bottle. So they'll start to do average age of the wine. So you'll see like a 5-year, a 10-year, a 15-year, a 20-year, or you'll see a vintage because most Madeira is not vintage. If you see a year on it, or if you see an age like a 5, 10, 15, 20, those are going to be automatically higher quality. So look for those when you go shopping. Cool. Is there any Texas-made Madeira? Yes, there is. We make our own style. This is available on our website. Please, please, please check it out. It's 19.2% alcohol. It comes in a tiny little cute bottle at 375 split. Okay, so it's a half bottle because you're only pouring 3 ounces at a time. This is delicious, guys. We leave our barrels out in the sun. It gets Madeirized. Obviously, we don't have the island ocean breeze, but I actually got to bring one of these to Madeira and tasted a Somm at the like #1 wine bar in Madeira. And he loved it so much and was like, man, this reminds me of some of the Malmsey that we make, right? Malmsey, also known as Malvasia, because we use orange muscat and some Malvasia in ours. Guys, so stinking cool that we make this. Now, there's another amazing Texas producer along the coast that makes a Madeira-style wine who's been doing it for a very long time, and you should look him up. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, and I should know this. There's going to be somebody out there in the comments, I'm sure, who knows it. Hack, H-A-A-K. I remembered it. It came to my brain, okay? Hawk Winery, they're also incredible Texas winemakers. They're making a Madeira-style wine as well. So much love to other Texas winemakers doing this style. Absolutely go check out Cibola if you get a chance, and go find some Madeira, guys. It's so good. Time for these 3 things, guys. We got some important information to give you. I'm going to bring Mary back up because Mary, guys, sorry, I got a little water on my trackpad and it's causing craziness. Let's make sure I can bring Mary back on. Mary, in a second, I'm going to have you cheers us out. But first, I got to do these 3 things. So stick with me here. First thing you need to know about these 3 things is our next virtual tasting is happening on Friday, right? Friday, guys. Bop, bop, bop. #1, virtual tasting Friday, 4 o'clock with Chris and Catherine. Chef Josh is going to be with us. They're going to be doing grilling and chilling and talking about barbecue pairings and wine. Cool. If you get this virtual tasting pack, you are getting the 2018 Hunter in your pack. All right. That's crazy. It's not supposed to be available until September. So like, go get it if you value your Hunter life. Okay. Hunter's incredible. Go get that virtual tasting pack. You can still pick it up curbside, which is the second thing you need to know. #2 in the chat. Guys, we are open for curbside pickup. Pick up your virtual tasting at curbside. See a smiling masked face at the winery. Wave to us from your car. We'll put it in there for you. We're open 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. every day. It's a beautiful drive out there. I did it this morning. I had to pick up wines for happy hour, need to do a little work. Good to see and smile at some of the staff. So take that drive. Go see us at curbside. Last and certainly not least, we are going to be here mañana. We're doing this every day again while the tasting room is closed. So tomorrow I'm going to be right here and I'm going to be drinking for White Wine Wednesday, guys. White Wine Wednesday. Mourvedre Monday, White Wine Wednesday. I'm going to be drinking Skeleton Key White, and we're going to be learning about white wines for July 4th grilling. Cool? Mary, I'm going to turn it over to you. Who are we cheersing to today, Mary?
I think we're cheering to everybody. We're in the middle of a pandemic. These things come along once every 100 years. We don't know any of the answers. We don't know what to expect. Thank God we have wine.
Cheers to that. Thank God we have wine. Cheers to all of you out there. Mary, thanks for joining us. We'll see you guys right here tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.
So tasty.